Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. We're still talking about building the Black family, and we're specifically looking at the Black church. Stick around as we continue to talk about building the Black family. I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach, and welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Unboxed. I'm your host, Dr. Robert Davis. Before we get started in our discussion today about building the Black family, and more specifically the Black church, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share. That's right, like, subscribe, and share. All right, so the last time that we were here, we jumped right into it. We began talking about the finances of the Black church. And I want to just share a few quick pointers with you. So indulge me as I read just a few quick pointers with you about the finances of the church in general. Did you know that the average congregation size in America is 65 people? I know we think about the church as being this big institution, but the average church size is 65 people. Giving has increased. And this is something I really want to point out to you. Giving increased most among African-American Protestant churches. And by the way, go and look at our last broadcast from the 7th. It's the Black church. I believe it's in our series, part 7 in our series. It's about the Black church. And I have the link in there to tell you where I'm getting this information from. It was an in-depth study that was done, and you can find out where we get this information. Okay, let me keep on moving on. So giving increased most among African-American Protestant churches. African-American Protestant churches, 59% of these churches increased their giving. So 59% of all African-American Protestant churches increased their giving in 2018. Remember, this is a report that looked at the giving and where money was spent from 2018 to 2019. I'm moving on. I'm just going to share a couple other things. And here's the one I want you to catch. The average church spent most of its money on personnel. Where finances are spent, on average, 49% is spent on personnel, 23% on facilities, 11% on mission, 10% on programs, 6% on dues. Evangelicals, on average, spend more on personnel. That's 51% of their budget. Evangelicals spend about 51% of their budget and about 21% on facilities. Now, when you compare that to African-American Protestant churches, I'm talking about the ones, because you always hear that Black preachers and Black churches are out there shaking down poor grandma, running a hustle, beating the community out of money and all of that stuff. Well, when you look at what African-American Protestant churches, they spend 23% on personnel. And when we say personnel, we're talking about pastors, musicians, we're talking about janitors, we're talking about the whole kit and caboodle. African-American churches only spend 23% of their budget on personnel and 25% of their budget on facilities. So African-American churches actually spend less on personnel than they actually do on facilities. And I really wanted to bring that out because there's this idea that the Black church is running a hustle and that all these preachers are bleeding the widows and whatnot. One of the strongest institutions during the civil rights movement, and even now today in our communities, is the African-American church. And so I'm not here to criticize the Black church. The Black church is a phenomenal tool and a phenomenal resource. What I'm here to do over the next 2 days is to share with you where the Black church can be most effective. To second of all, share with you where you can step up and help your church to be most effective. And number 3, what you should be looking for when you're looking for a church that's going to help to build your family. Okay, so here we go. We just talked about church finances because the African-American church historically has been the institution that has helped African-Americans to acquire and to pass on wealth. That is until recent times. We have stepped back as a church hugely in that venture of helping to build wealth in the African-American community. Banks, businesses, and other ventures that was the strength of the African-American community pre-civil rights era was centered around the church, and the church has the power to do the same today. Now, let me tell you why the Black church has to be the economic engine for the Black community. Listen closely. In order for any community like the Jews, the Italians, the Irish, any community that comes and is a minority within a larger community, and especially a community that has been oppressed and has been victimized and has specifically been targeted for oppression, in order for them to overcome and to succeed, they have to pool their wealth together. You can't have it where I'm getting rich, this person's getting rich, and we're all doing it separately. No, the community has to actually pool its wealth together. The community has to pool its wealth together. And I'm running this by myself today, so excuse me if I seem a little distracted between my computer. I want to make sure I'm doing everything right. So the community has to pool its funds together. The challenge that you have, and catch this now, the challenge that you have when you're dealing with a community that has been marginalized, victimized, and brutalized is you have a major trust issue. And just think about it. If those of you who are watching it right now, if I were to call you on the phone and say, hey, listen, how about the two of us pool our money together and go into this business venture or invest in this particular business or XYZ, whatever it may be, but we need to pool our funds together. The first thing and the logical thing that you're going to say to me is, I don't know. Don't know if I really can trust you to do that. And you know what? That is a legitimate concern. But guess what the African-American church has going for it? The African-American church, number one, already has the trust factor. We already pool our funds together as a Black community inside the Black church. It is the one place where African Americans actually bring their money and put it into a common bucket for the good of the entire group. I want to say that again. The African American church is the one place where the Black community puts its funds together for the building up and the good of the larger community. My challenge is not that the Black church has not historically been the economic engine behind the Black community. And my challenge is not that the Black church doesn't have a way to pool their funds, a way to account for their funds and to administer their funds. We have all of that within the African American church. So you don't have to worry about building up trust. You don't have to build up an infrastructure for the managing and the distribution of the money. The challenge that we have is while we're bringing in the money, we're spending it in areas that are not building up our community. In other words, I put it like this oftentimes when I speak. You can attend a church for 20 plus years, and then you have to go out to a bank to borrow money. You attend a church for 50 years, and then you have to go out and borrow money to send your kids to college. You have to borrow money from somebody else to start up a business. The African American church has to be more intentional, not just about pooling its funds and being a place of trust, but about pooling its funds for the purpose of economic development for its community. And when I say community in this context, I'm talking about the church members. We have to be to a place, and I'm just going to leave that there because I want you to think about this. We have to be the place where individuals pool their funds together. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow. So tune back in tomorrow. I'm going to talk some more about it. But we have to be a place where we pool our funds together for the good of the common body. Imagine if every Black church was an independent economic engine. Imagine if denominations, African-American denominations within their local congregations pooled those funds together so that rather than having to go Bank of America, I could go to New Hope. Instead of having to go to Wells Fargo, I could go to Evergreen. Instead of having to go to, and you get it. And that's what we have to do as a Black community. That is one of the best ways to strengthen the Black family, is by strengthening the Black wealth. Listen, my time has run out. I'm going to be back here tomorrow. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. Let's continue to talk about building the Black family. Let's continue to talk about building it through the Black church. Until the next time, I look forward to seeing each one of you. May we continue to unbox the power and the potential of every relationship. You have a great day.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.